Hello, hello, hello. Here we are, finally at Group L.
God, it couldn't come at a better time. Lord almighty, this has been a slog.
It's been a lot of groups that we've hacked through. If you've got all the way through here, thank you for staying with us as well. I know there have been a lot of banter. There's been a lot of embarrassing moments, particularly for myself and the Hooligan, but also as well a lot of banter. And hopefully you'll be with us on the journey as we go through into the World Cup. There's less than 50 days now to go as we work in the build-up and the hype. And we will, of course, be doing a daily show. So we are here for a Summit 26, a global soccer showdown. And Hooligan, with myself, Gary Stryker, we are here to break down what is probably the truest group of death that there is. We've saved the best till last. That's for sure. Or do you disagree?
Well, I disagree, but I disagree with two of the comments. One, that this is the true group of death. And two, that I have been embarrassed by anything that I've said on this. You certainly have.
I've been embarrassed for you, that's for sure.
I take significant umbrage with this implying that I am somehow embarrassed by anything that I uttered. I am never embarrassed by what I say.
I've come to
and
realize
I also
this.
own whenever I am wrong, which is so rare that it's a genuine thrill for me to have to admit it.
Wow. There we
Now,
go.
that said, I would love to hear your explanations to why this is a true group of death. Talk to me.
Okay, I'll give you a couple of reasons why this is a true group of death.
Justify that outrageous claim.
Okay, so first of all, it is the only group that has two teams inside of the top 10 FIFA World Rankings. Okay?
All right, that's factual. I
That's factual.
That. Uh-huh.
Yes, okay, that is fair. And then also on top of that as well, I would just say, looking at these teams or looking at these countries that are in there, of course, we've got England, ranked number 4, Croatia, ranked number 10, Ghana and Panama, who are not obviously ranked as high, but they are dangerous. They will be able to score goals, and this is not going to be easy. I also think that there are question marks over Croatia, just given one would say the diplomatic term would be the longevity of their players. Another way of saying is they're old as fuck. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do what they did in the last couple of World Cups. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Is that sufficient? Is that sufficient enough for you?
I'll give you points on the argument, but in the grand, forensics manner, no, I don't think it really fully stacks up. I would give you points, but I wouldn't give you the laurel and victory on that one. However, I do think that you did raise good points. Here's my take. FIFA rankings don't mean crap, so I don't take them into account, right? I mean,
you don't live and die by FIFA coefficients? This decides everything.
No, I don't. Okay. And just so you know, Croatia is not in the top 10. So there's your first error.
I disagree. Croatia, you're right. They have changed. Since my research was done on this, they are now ranked 10th. Okay, so you've got me there, admittedly, yes. Wow, Hooligan is on fire this morning, aren't you? Wow, no longer salty Hooligan. Yeah, Fuego Hooligan.
You say that this was the best for last. I'm saving the best for last.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so I stand corrected. Currently ranked 11.
But quite outside the fact that the FIFA rankings change and research gets old and outdated, that's okay. We all understand that. That's an honest mistake. Anybody who rules out Croatia is a fool. I mean,
I didn't rule them out.
No, I know you didn't. I know you didn't, but I'm just saying that as a rule, anybody, right, who rules them out is making a mistake. They punch far above their weight as a nation in terms of their play on the field. So,
and this, when you say punch above their weight, are you talking about like the population size to where they get kind of like Holland in a way, right? Like the professional players per capita is exceedingly high, right?
Right. And as a national team, they've reached semifinals, 3-4 times or 3 times at least, I think.
Well, they got to the final in 2018 and then they got to the semis in 22. Yeah. And then they got to the final in semis in 22. Yes.
There it is. There's the 3, right? Because advancing into the final does count as the semis. So,
okay.
Because you can't get to the final without going through the others. But yeah, so there you go. I look at those things and I say, yeah, they are going to be dangerous. So I would say that this is a group of death, not the group of death. I still think that And the articles make a difference. Articles matter. People like to dismiss them, but they're a very important part of the language. And I still think that the group of death is Netherlands, Japan, Tunisia, Sweden. I think that
group of death. Okay.
That group is the group of death. Okay. That is that's going to be the hardest one to get out of, given the strength of the Netherlands, Sweden, and Japan. And you can say what you want about Sweden being wobbly and all this, but listen, they show up for the big. They do tend to show up for the big matches.
They're not a pushover. They are not
They're
a
not.
pushover. That is for
No,
sure.
but this is a great group, and you're right to give Ghana and Panama props. Although I've got my misgivings, and I'll tell you one reason why I don't think Ghana is going to be as strong this particular World Cup as they have been in moments past. We'll get into that when we start talking about players. But yeah. And then, of course, you've got England, a team that has historically on the global stage, right? No disrespect to the English.
Oh no,
you gotta stop talking about 66. All right, you gotta stop talking about that. Okay,
you've got to songs have been sung.
That was like 150 years ago, for Christ's
60
sake.
to be precise. 60
well,
to be
know.
precise.
I mean,
yes.
but I mean, if we're going by hooligan years, I mean, if we're going by hooligan years, they didn't even have electricity. So I don't think that's going to happen to them this year. But still, one bad game for England, and they can topple like a house of cards. That's my problem.
They are mentality. Well, absolutely, I agree. They obviously, having grown up for a number of years, obviously, and being English, somewhat English now, American, or a bit of both. There is unrealistic expectations in the build up to all of these tournaments, and I've seen it all the way from sort of like Euro '96 back in the days, and sort of bringing up in the media, build it. They're going to do it. This is going to be the tournament for us. We're going to build it. There's celebrities come out with songs. There's obviously the famous Baddiel and Skinner the Three Lions. And then what happens is the penalties. They'll get to a quarter or a semi, penalties will come, and just the weight and the pressure of that expectation, and they choke. They choke on the penalties. That England are notoriously bad on penalties. And then, of course, then comes to sort of the media crushing, and just the media just absolutely devastate, and it becomes crushing. And that's what sort of really has been the issue. There's been multiple golden generations as well that have come through the English. On paper, players are very good. There's no reason why they shouldn't perform and shouldn't be in there as well. And to be fair, in the last couple of tournaments, they've got to the final. They've got to the last two Euros
That's
finals.
True.
Again,
no, you're right. You're right.
Lost. And then they got to, I think it was the quarters of the last World Cup in Qatar, but were knocked out by an incredible France team, of course, and that was very close. Again, Kane missed a penalty, if I recall.
So that's right. That was the infamous Harry Kane penalty miss. Yeah,
the penalty miss, right? And Mbappe delivered there, of course. So I think England, obviously you can tell ranked number 4 in the world, which is justifiable. Again, I think that is a fair reflection of their abilities, but they have had to also go outside their previous manager, Gareth Southgate, or should I say Sir Gareth Southgate. He got knighted for getting England to 2 Euros and not winning. That just is where the mentality is. Former Crystal Palace player, of course, as you know as well, and manager as well. So they've had to resort to a German, which is, of course, has stirred up some patriotic sort of currents inside of England, having to turn to a German.
I know offense, but that's utter nonsense by you limeys to be upset about that.
You like me, still love it. Okay, and
although to be fair, if a German came to coach the Dutch national team, I'd probably feel the same type of
exactly.
The same type of sting.
I mean, to be honest, the US have had a German coaching them in Jurgen Klinsmann many years ago as well. So there is precedent here, and there is history, and now they've got an Argentinian.
But
Thomas Tuchel,
Germans children play for the US.
It's plays the goalkeeper, isn't it? I saw that. Yeah, Klinsmann is a goalkeeper, right? Yeah, I saw that.
None of his children will play in Germany. US, they're all affiliated.
They're all naturalized, yeah.
So it goes.
And Tuchel is a world-class manager. He's done it, obviously won Champions Leagues with Chelsea, obviously turned that team side around, did incredibly well, went to Bayern, didn't quite win the Bundesliga with Bayern, which he probably should have done, but he's a top-grade manager, he's for sure. And so we'll see what he can do. I would also like to spend a little bit of time talking about Ghana. And so they are affectionately known as the Black Stars, because of course their flag has a black star in it as well. And one of my most memorable games that I ever saw was I was in South Africa for the 2010 World Cup, and this was I believe it was the quarterfinals. Ghana had got through. They were the last African team in the first African World Cup, and they got through and they came up against Uruguay in the quarterfinals. And I think it was Ayew scored this amazing early goal, and this was the game in which Suarez did that sort of like sneaky where he handled the ball on the last minute to stop the ball going in, got a red card and sent off. Ghana had a penalty and didn't convert, and Uruguay ended up going through, and they got absolutely sort of taken apart. But the Ghana, I think there is definitely, they are African royalty in terms of sort of their footballing pedigree, and just looking at their players, they do have a very, very good squad that is quite competent, I think, if we'll look into that. So yeah.
This is where we're going to disagree.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll get into it.
We're going to disagree.
In terms of other facts, obviously, as we mentioned, Croatia finished third in 1998, runners-up in 2018, and got to the semis in the last tournament. So they are very, very sort of adapted. And you say a country of 4 million people to sort of produce sort of that many semifinals is very impressive. It's up there with the Dutch as well, right? Just the way the Dutch
You talk about, you mentioned their age.
Yeah.
Back that up.
Okay. Well, I mean, just looking at sort of their strikers, right? And so, look, their main star, right? The star of the player is, Ballon d'Or winning Luka Modric, right? Won Champions Leagues. He's, done it pretty much all at club level. Now plays for AC Milan. He's 40 years old.
Yes.
Okay. This will definitely be his last tournament, right?
He's one of the
the eldest.
40-year-olds that are in the clubs. Messi's not 40 yet. So
Ronaldo is and will be 41 as well.
Modric is, and I'm sure that there's a goalkeeper on some other team that's probably 40.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You don't play out in the field at 40 years old unless you're a legend, right?
Yeah,
and you're a center back that's made a deal with Satan. The goalkeepers, they can go to like 42.
They're smoking and drinking beer, no problem. Exactly. Yes.
Sure.
In terms of just looking at their star players and their highlight players. Now, look, there may be a bunch of young players coming up that we haven't recognized and we will get noticed by. That's possible. But I'm looking at players like Ivan Perisic, right? He played for Inter, played for Spurs, 37 years of age. Looking at their strikers as well. PSV now as well, right? Looking at their strikers, they've got one Igor, was it Matanovic, 23-year-old who plays for Freiburg, and then they've got one playing for FC Dallas. FC Dallas is so 28 years of age.
Can you just hold on a second? Peter Musar has got the golden boot right now for FC Dallas. He scored 9 goals in 8 matches. The guy is absolutely on fire.
Yeah,
his form is tip top. And that's with an FC Dallas team supporting him. Imagine what he could do with some of these other Croatian stars feeding him in. This is Peter Musar's tournament right here. I'm going to come out and say it. He's 28 years old. He's in perfect form.
Do you think the level of the MLS will be in comparison, let's say, in that England game, do you think is the same level? Do you think?
He's a striker. Okay. It doesn't, no, he's a striker. His job is to score goals. And he not only scores goals, he scores clutch goals. And yeah, you could say, ooh, it's the MLS. No, wrong. You can't say that. He's going up against Panama, Ghana, and England. Now, maybe the English defenders will be like, oh, yeah, we're not going to let that through. England's defense can be porous. They're no better. It's like, sure, on a pound-for-pound level, the Premier League defenders are tip-top. How many of those defenders are English? Okay. Some of them, not all of them. And they don't all play in the same team. So, no, I'm not buying that. An informed striker is far more deadly than a hodgepodge of very, very good defenders as long as they're fed the right way. And this is where Croatia is going to be very good. Listen, Croatia actually, and interestingly, is not a very old team. They only have 5 field players that are above the age of 30. That's it. The rest of the team are in their prime mid-20s, and they have a real good crop of young players.
You are right, Hooligan. Look at that. Yeah, very good. Yeah.
Right? Petr Susic from Inter Milan, 22 years old. Martin Batorino from Como, 23. Luka Susic, no relation, from Real Sociedad. And your aforementioned Matanovic. None of these players, the only drawback that I have for them is that none of them are regular starters for their club. They come on, they play, they appear in games, but they don't necessarily start every week over and over. They're going to be match fit. They're going to be ready, right? But whether they're like fully there, I don't know. But the fact is Croatia has depth, even with old players, even if they start their old players. They have an entire crop of youngsters behind them that are ready to go, that are seasoned, and know what's at stake.
What a compelling argument you just made.
They're going to be ready.
Yeah. Okay. No, you've made a very compelling argument. You brought me around. You actually brought me around because I was focusing on the stars and not paying too much attention to the non-stars.
And the one player that you do have to really look out for, because he could be a breakout player of the tournament, is a 19-year-old center back from Hamburg called Luka Vuskovic. That guy scored 5 goals as a center back in the Bundesliga.
Wow, look at that.
Okay, 5 goals as a center back. Now that means one of two things: either he does a lot of headers, which he probably does, but still, that's a decent amount of goals for a center back in his
That's a good return
season, right?
Okay, so, 19 years of age.
Yeah.
potential young player, potential breakout. And as we've discussed many times through this, there are these young players who are going to get noticed. They're going to all of a sudden have a great tournament, and all of a sudden the eyes of the world are going to be on them in the big clubs.
If
Playing
you
for a
put
club
him,
like
if he
Hamburg,
gets in and
Yeah.
gets a couple of good feeds and can bang him in, off the corner kicks, people are going to start going, "Woo, yeah, look at that." I mean, he's already valuable. He's probably not going to stay at Hamburg, to be fair. He's likely going to get plucked out in the transfer window, but this is his opportunity to shine, and I guarantee you he'll get some playing.
For some reason, in my data source that I'm looking at, there is no Josko Gvardiol. Are you seeing him? Is he injured, or why is he
Because
not
he was
being
injured?
featured here? But
He has not. He has not featured. He has not featured for. He has not featured for a long time.
City, right? Yeah,
because of that recurring injury that he's had.
Okay.
But if he's fit, will he be there? Oh, guaranteed.
Yeah. He's fantastic. Yeah, very good player. Yeah,
and also just because he's a baller. He's a baller.
Ball playing defender, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Can do center back, can play on the wings. He can do the attack. Yeah, because remember, Gvardiol broke his leg. Like that was a break in January. So if he's coming back, he's coming back probably in May. This is according to the injury reports. It's May.
Okay. So that's probably why. Yeah. But again, as you say, actually Croatia, no shortage though in that department as well. Lots of sort of reliable. I mean, and they're all playing at good levels, right? I take your point about they're not regulars, like Josip Stanisic, right, for Bayern, right? He's 26, he's plays for FC Bayern, right? And then you've got, Sautulo for Ajax as well, 26 years of age. So yeah, no, you've changed my perception on they're going to be dangerous. Yeah, they're going to be dangerous.
They're going to be super dangerous.
Yeah.
Now, Ghana, on the other hand, I have questions
about. Let's hear it. All right, let's hear it.
Firstly, you mentioned IU. Which IU was it that scored that goal? Because there's a bajillion of them. They're all related, and they're all brothers.
It's not this IU. It's not
Jordan
IU who plays for Leicester. No, it's one of his brothers. It was, I remember.
So I think it's one of his older brothers.
I think it's a lot of IUs, yeah.
So there's only one IU left on the Black Stars, right? And that is the extraordinarily old Jordan. He's not that extraordinarily. He's 34. But he's been moving. But he's been moving. He's been moving like a 50-year-old for the last 3 years, right? I mean, that doesn't take away from his threat level. He is the senior most player on the Ghana. He's the oldest. He's the wise guy. He's the grizzled leader. But he's not been great at Leicester. In fact, Leicester haven't been great, but that's another story.
Well, Leicester have been double relegated, right? They got relegated and then they got...
They're going to go through the infamous Sunderland double relegation.
Yeah, where they financial relegation and playing relegation. So yeah, they're screwed, right? Yeah. So
but here's the thing with Ghana. You're probably making your assumptions based on the fact that they've got Mohamed Kudus and Antoine Semenyo. Am I right?
That's correct.
Well, guess what? One of those guys ain't playing. Can you guess what?
Kudus, right? Kudus isn't playing,
Kudus
right?
Is out.
Yeah. Kudus is out. Okay.
So you don't have Kudus, and
so you got.
I think
Semenyo.
that's a huge blow. That's a huge blow to them.
Yep. Okay.
Now Semenyo will play, and Semenyo's great. Yep. But is Semenyo going to be great without a supporting cast? And I'm not trying to diss the rest of the Ghana team because they're all very competent, right? You said it. They're African royalty. They are a team that knows how to do it. But who's stepping up? Who's coming in? Ghana has the same problem.
Thomas Partey, yeah.
Thomas Partey?
It's not going to be Thomas Partey, yeah.
He's also been injured and has been dealing with injury, right? They have the same problem that some of the Croatian second team players do. They don't get starts. They're not consistent starting players outside of Semenyo. There's only one that I think could have a breakout season. Sorry, not a breakout season, a breakout tournament. And that is Brandon Thomas Asante, who plays for Coventry. Coventry just got promoted. They're going to go into the Premier League. And he's not like the only reason why that's happened. There's a lot of people who made that happen with Coventry, but he's got 12 goals and 4 assists for them.
27 years of age though as well, right? So you kind of, if he's going to do it, he would have done it by now. Yeah.
And the thing with Ghana for me is you never talk about Ghana's defense because that's not right. When you talk about Ghana, what you're looking at is a team that's going to score. Ghana needs to score a lot and early. And I'm not sure without Kudus and Semenyo really attracting and being that very dangerous lightning strike on the sides. Without the two of them, I think they're just not operating on full cylinders. And that is what's going to hurt them most.
Interesting. Here's another interesting thing as well is Ghana's run of form lately, right? In their previous 4 friendlies, they played against Japan, lost, South Korea, lost, Austria, lost, Germany, lost.
No, and
Lost
there
their
you
last
are.
4 qualifying. And those are just, those are friendlies, right? Yeah, those are friendly
They're all
games.
friendlies, but they're all without
Yeah,
Kudus.
yeah. Interesting.
And they might have also been
Interesting.
without Semenyo. Now, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at those 4 specifically to see if Semenyo played on those. But there you go, right? Problem. I don't think they're going to be quite as dangerous as they have been
As
in the
in previous
past.
tournaments. Yeah, yeah,
Correct.
that's fair.
There you
That's
go.
fair. No, I think you make another compelling case as well. You're turning me around on Croatia and Ghana. Okay, let's chop up Panama then and see what we think here. Ranked 33 in the world, higher than Ghana. Again, their form, just like looking into this. I mean, when we say group of death here, realistically, you're going to need at least 5 points to guarantee qualification, right? So that's a win and 2 draws, or 2 wins to get you 6 points, right? You're going to need at least 5 points, maybe even 4. If you're Panama, who are probably one of the weaker teams here, their first game is against Ghana, so there's a chance that they could pick up some points there, and then they go against Croatia and England. So really, they want to hope that they can beat Ghana and then try and get a draw or steal something from Panama, from Croatia or England, and obviously those teams will be going for it as well. So, what do you think of the
I gotta be
Panama
blunt.
team?
I can't figure out who the Panama team is. On all official sources, they list 50 players in their roster. How in the hell am I supposed to know who's starting? I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a mystery team to me. Very few Panamanian players. They all go abroad, right? Well, they
Yeah.
don't all go abroad. Panama has its own league, and there's a decent amount of domestic. There's a decent amount of play inside Panama. It's 37% by my standards of their team. But then again, they got a roster of 50 people, right?
Yeah.
Whereas England, 89% of the English team play in England. That's the largest concentration of native players outside of Saudi Arabia. Nobody from Ghana plays in Ghana. Nobody from Croatia. Very few people from Croatia. Only 2 players play in Croatia. The Panamanian players that do play abroad don't play for the tippy-toppest, right? In the tippy-toppest divisions you talk about, right? The only exception to that is a guy named Amir Murillo, plays for Besiktas in Turkey. He's a center back, center back, wing back combo.
Yeah.
Listen, that guy is their best player. And so what does that mean? Not much, because
Not
they
much
gotta
if your best
score.
wing back, and he's 30 years of age as well, right? So that's also
Right,
it's going to
but
be
30 is still, I'd say 30 is still prime, particularly for a defender. I think 30 is not too old, right? I think you're okay. But I look through these players lists, and I look through some of the club lists, and they're decent clubs, right? They got people who are playing for Deportiva Saprissa in Costa Rica, a strong club. One guy playing in Austria, Mazatlan.
Mexican.
Quite a few players playing inside the Liga MX for Juarez
Yeah,
and
Liga
León
MX and
and
Leon, I saw that.
Mazatlan. There's one player plays in the MLS, the Pumas, right? There's a player on the Puma squad, but none of these guys are like, they're not
Top
top.
elite
They're not
level.
tippy top, right? They're
Yeah,
just,
they're not.
they're good players. And Panama as a nation comes into World Cups and can startle teams because most people don't know how they play. They tend to be very physical. They're very physical. They're gritty, and they can have moments of brilliance. And I think that's really what it comes down to. I'm looking for them to sit tight, low block, tough defense, quick counters, right? And hope for that incredible whirly shot. That's how they're going to do it. And it can work, right? England's particularly can get flustered when they think they're better and they're not doing as good as they expect to. They can get in their own head and get flustered. Croatia,
Yeah.
not so much. Croatia's calm. Croatia will always be even keeled and calm. And then, of course, against Ghana, that's kind of a shootout, right? That's a really important game. Funnily enough, I think in this group, the first matches will set the tone significantly. If Panama can upset Ghana, that throws Ghana's entire plan out the window. And all of a sudden, Panama are coming in with some puff chests. If England and Croatia draw, the pressure's suddenly on them. If either one of those teams lose, holy crap. That's like, it's, bring out the Instapot, kids, because we're ready to make some rice.
Yeah. Okay, and then let's move across to England. So
Do we
one
even
other
have to
thing that,
waste time with them? I mean,
well,
it's
there is one
all
thing that
talk.
I
Yeah,
would like to also sort of talk about as well, which I know, and I love talking about this, and I know you don't like talking about it, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Is the weather factor? Okay,
oh my Lord.
you have got, well,
Yep, go ahead.
England's games are okay at AT&T Stadium. Okay,
Yeah.
so Texas. Okay, then they're playing at Gillette Stadium, so that's Boston, right? And then they're playing at MetLife, which is New Jersey. Okay,
Yeah.
in late June, it's
Yeah.
going to be 100 degrees with high humidity. Do you think
Could be.
that? Yeah. Do you think that Harry Kane? Like now, this is where I think the risk is for England, particularly as well, and the weather factor as well, is playing against Panama, playing against Ghana, who have been brought up in these high humid, high sort of, sort of temperate conditions. This is going to be more comfortable for them, right? Do you think that Phil Foden, who's grown up in Manchester of all places, is going to be at his optimal level in 100 degrees when he's sweating his balls off and being run around by a little Panamanian or a Ghanaian chasing him around? I think, that's where there's a risk. Declan Rice, same thing as well. Some of these guys are going to struggle with the weather. I know there's water breaks and all these kind of things, but there will be a lot of complaints about the weather, and this could be a potential banana skin for England. But that being said,
firstly, AT&T is in closed stadium.
Is enclosed, but the other two are not. But the other two are.
I know, but AT&T is the one where he's going to you're going to get that super oppressive heat coupled with a certain amount of humidity. Although Dallas is not as humid as say Houston is, right? Just because of where it is geographically. Yes, Gillette and MetLife both have the potential to be very, very unpleasant. That's just going to depend on that day.
As well on how they prepare
and
for
their prep. The one thing I would say is, yes, you are correct that in Ghana it gets hot in Ghana. Remember, none of these players have lived in Ghana for years. Of
course, but they grew up. They're used to it. They're
sure, but they're not. But
they're
and now Panama. This is going to be a non-factor. It's Panama being where it is. It's kind of hot. It's kind of hot and kind of
sticky all the time.
All the time. So I don't think so. You're right in that sense. But it's going to affect Croatia too, right? Croatia's doesn't have. I mean, Croatia's in the Mediterranean environment,
Baltics,
so it's not winters. Really. I'm not saying it's not going to be a factor. I don't think it's as big of a factor as you say, unless it happens to be a day where it is really, really sticky, humid, like what I like to call one of the Northeast sauna days. Right?
When there's cloud
like
cover, there's lightning coming as well. Yeah, it gets thick and it's difficult. Yeah. Anyway, let's not make this a weather show. Let's not talk too much. Let's not get into it. I did just want to mention and bring out for fantasy players or betting, if you're for betting purposes. In terms of England as a squad, do you see any weakness or sort of question sort of any of their players, the sort of positions where you think, because for me, and I think this is the big discussion in England, is kind of like, how do you fit Jude Bellingham, Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, Declan Rice, Kobbie Mainoo, Morgan Rogers, all of these players into a team, and then also sort of keep everyone happy at the same time, while also having Kane, Rashford, Saka, Gordon up front. How do you fit, 15 into 6 in terms of front forward positions? It's hard, right? So Tuchel has got a management challenge that he needs to think through and figure out, right?
Yeah, I don't question any of the individual skills or devotion, fitness, ability. I do, however, question when they're put together, will they be able to mesh as a team? That is the biggest problem that England has.
Yes, I agree.
Is how do they go together and do this? And can they become selfless enough to achieve? I know Kane can. He's done that in the past. Kane's ability to rise to an occasion. Yeah, he did miss that penalty. He's owned it though. I mean, to his credit, he always said,
everyone's missed penalties. Yeah, everyone misses penalties. That's okay.
But he doesn't miss that. He hasn't missed I think he's only missed one since then in all comps.
Yeah, and he's on fire. He's on big
form
at the moment, right? 50
that's
goals,
the other thing. He is completely and utterly en fuego right now. No, I don't see a problem there. I don't see a problem in their goalkeeping. I don't see a problem in their defense, even with one exception. I know everybody likes Harry Maguire. I don't like Harry Maguire.
No, he's a clown. Not a fan.
I think he is a big problem.
Yeah, liability.
I think he's a big liability. So, and I think there's probably more questions about their wing players, their wing backs, and who's going to really step up and take that, right? With Nico O'Reilly bouncing in and out of fitness, right? You've got Lewis Hall, who I think deserves a call up from Newcastle. I've heard mentions of Elliot Anderson. I don't know. He doesn't play that much, right? Listen, there's a big cast to pick from, a talented group. If I was Tuchel, I'd be looking at personalities and fits there, because almost on any given day, almost most of these players are interchangeably brilliant enough to do it.
Yeah. And like Trent Alexander-Arnold's like not even going to make this, not going to make the plane. He's going to be watching this from Madrid, right? He's going to be watching this from the beach somewhere, right? So that's it. Yeah, he's not going to be there.
There's a good likelihood of that, which I think in most cases, in most years, would be surprising. This year, no, he's not been great. He's had a bit of a meh year, so time to give it to somebody else, in my opinion.
In terms of like young players, breakout players, again, there's no, they're already
Lewis Hall
superstars.
Is the only one
right?
that I think of that could. Lewis Hall has the ability to suddenly go forward and grab this one, right? Of all the players.
Yeah.
Possibly Mainu. He's only 20,
Yeah, but he's kind of made his name already at Manchester United. I know he's had some sort of issues with the previous with Ruben Amorim, but he's kind of got back into the team now, so he's there. But like when you've got players like Bellingham, 22 years of age, Champions League winner, obviously global superstar, Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, it's you've got Saka, if he's fit, he's having some injury issues, and that could be a concern. That's another thing. Yeah, Anthony Gordon also as well looks like he's on for a move, and he's going to leave Newcastle, and then Rashford and Kane up front. Like those guys will score goals. They will score you goals. So
I think that's the main thing. That question will be just how diligent is England in the back, because I do think that unless their defense performs at a world-class level, they're not going to make it. There's no doubting England's offensive capability. You're right. They should be putting up goals. They should be putting up 2 or 3 goals every game. It's just a question of how many are they going to concede.
Yeah. And
because it's really the teams that don't concede that end up winning trophies, right? It's like ultimately it comes back to the defense, while unlauded, is the one that's is the platform upon which you're lifting the trophy.
Yeah, it's true. England should be getting to the semi-finals. I think anything less would be an underperformance.
Absolute freaking construct.
And if they can, they need to avoid going to penalties. That will be their undoing.
And that is. Yeah. And I agree with you on that. They have to avoid going into penalties. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, Hooligan, can you believe it? We have done it. That's the end of it. We have gone through all of the groups in the wrap-ups. I think we were going to drop a few more episodes in here talking about some of the other nuances of the game, some of the rule changes that are going to be implemented, some of the technical side of things, all of these sort of like interesting sides.
And not the weather.
I think we're good. We're good for weather, and then I think we'll have a few other special guests on coming in as well, just talking about some of the other angles and some of the other ends to keep it going. Hooligan, it's been a journey. We've done it. All of the groups done, dusted. 50 days to go. It's getting exciting. Until then, speak to you soon. Peace.